Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Okay, let's start inshallah. So we're in the, what we're going to do is just a quick recap of chapter 2, and which is Waladu Azar. We're going to inshallah move on to the chapter 3 very soon. We went through a bit of this last week and the week before. So I'm just going to skim through this very quickly just to get ourselves orientated back into Arabic. So remember, this was Waladu Azara, and we knew that it was Azara and not Azari because it's Abdul Rahim, because it's
the name of his father.
Abdul Rahim. So why is it Azara, not Azari? Okay, Zahid, you tell him. Tell Abdul Rahim.
He doesn't know.
Tell him.
It has some Dhamma on Waladu, and that's why it's Azara.
No. Ali Bhai, tell him. Tell these two. Why is it Azara, not Azari? Abdul Rahim, I'll give you the chance since you're reading your notes.
No, nothing on the notes. Nothing on the notes. It's just because yesterday you were talking about this Mosuf or something. Mosuf Sifa. So,
no.
The noun actually should have like four.
Nothing to do with that. This is not a Mawsul Sifa phrase. Okay, let's go back to basics again. Okay, so Waladu Azar is what kind? Is it, first of all, it's a murakkab, we know that, right? Yeah. Okay, so the question is it as a murakkab, is it a mufid or a ghayru mufid? Ghayru mufid, okay. So if it's a ghayru mufid, that gives us a 1 in 3 chance because we've only covered 3 phrases out of the potential 15 or so phrases. So you've got a 1 in 3 chance, okay. One of them is Mawsul Sifa, the other is Mudaf Ilay, and the third one is Jar Majrur. Okay, so can it be Jar Majrur? Can it be Jar Majrur? Brother mentioned why it wouldn't be. Why? Why can it not be Jar Majrur? What is a Jar? Zaid, inform Abdul Rahim. Abdul Rahim, you tell him. Ali Bhai. What's a Jar Majrur? It's good that we know the terms, so that's alhamdulillah, that's a good step. What's a Jar Majrur?
I don't know that, but I think Azara is because it's a foreign name.
Yes, so that's the reason. So that's step 2, is that Azara is a foreign name, so it's change restricted, right? So if it was Zaid, it'd be Waladu Zaydin. No.
I mentioned that. That's the very first thing he said.
Did he?
Sure, you're very quiet.
If he listened, it means.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Looks like I might have to split up these two here. These two I have to split up. Yeah, so that's correct, yeah. Okay, sorry if I didn't hear you. Yeah. Okay, so Qais is absolutely right, and Abdul Rahim's right, is that this is change restricted, okay? So it's غير منصرف, okay? So it doesn't, or in English, it's not fully declinable. That's the grammatical terminology they use. So if it was Zayd instead, it'd be Waladu Zaydin, okay? And it's Waladu Azara because it's change restricted, so it has 2 characteristics. One is that when it's in jar, it will be with a fatha. So Rafa is Dhamma, the Nasab is in fatha, and Jar is also in fatha, in change restricted, okay? And the other characteristics is that there's no tanween, okay? So that spots it there again, so you're correct. Now, if it was Jar Majrur, the Jar is a preposition, right? So it's in, on, okay? So that would be like fi, ala, bi, ila, an, yeah? So these are all prepositions, min, Okay, so clearly this is not a preposition. As brother said, this is walad. So, and we know walad is an ism, right? We know it just by the meaning. Okay, and you will gradually know what isms look like because you'll be able to rule out verbs and prepositions and harfs, yeah, by just looking at the patterns. So that's something that will just come with time. So walad is meaning the boy, okay, and it's of Azar, yeah, so Azar's boy, okay, that's the title. So it would be a mudaf ilay relationship.
Sorry, just want to ask.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate jar, majrur, and mushar ilayh? What's the difference?
Okay, mushar is demonstrative, yeah, so it's with the hada and hadihi. All right. So hada is so that's a phrase we touched upon it, but we didn't include it. That would be our fourth phrase. Okay. So let's leave that aside until we come to it again, and then we'll come on the fourth one about hada and hadihi. Yeah. So as far as we're concerned at this moment, because we're just getting back to remembering, is that we have jar majrur, we have mudaf ilay, and we have mawsuf and sifa. Okay. If it was mawsuf and sifa, these two should be matching completely. Okay, but remember what we said with mudaf ilay is that the first word ism gives it away because it's got a single, there's no tanween, and walad, you will know from experience in language, is not a change restricted word. Okay, you know that it's boy, yeah, because there are certain things that can be, so it has to be a foreign name, it has to be feminine, it has to be an adjective. So walad is not, it's a boy, yeah. So so the fact that it has a single tashkil at the end would give it away that you're probably dealing with a mudaf ilay relationship. Okay, all right, and that's the first thing that gives it away. And then obviously this as well with the azar, yeah, and then the meaning itself, boy and azar, yeah, all together will tell you that this is actually a mudaf ilay relationship. So azar's boy, or the boy of azar. Okay, and then we did wakana azru lahu waladun rashidun jiddan, and here you have the mawsuf and sifa relationship. Yeah, so there you can see that everything is matching. Walad being a boy, Rashid being masculine. Okay, not Rashida, which would be the feminine. It's dun, so it's the tanween, dammatain. Yeah, so and it's singular. Okay, as opposed to Rashideen, Khulafa Rashideen, yeah? The righteous Khalifs, yeah? Rashideen would be the plural. And Rashid is the singular. So that would give this way that this is a Mawsuf and Sifa relationship. So, belonged to Azza, was a righteous boy, a very righteous boy. And the name of this boy was Ibrahim. Okay, right? And then we said, and the boy, and Ibrahim would see, so وَكَانَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ يَرَى النَّاسَ يَسْجُدُونَ لِلْأَصْنَامِ, and Ibrahim would see, yara, the people, يَسْجُدُونَ, worshipping, لِلْأَصْنَامِ, worshipping the idols. Okay, the thing that we covered here was this li business. Ali, since I will need to keep you concentrating, so this will be for you, inshallah. So if I were to just break this one down, okay, just this particular phase, okay, yasjuduna lil asnam. So you should be able to now, inshallah, break this fully. So what kind of murakkab are we dealing with and why? So I'll give the translation. They were worshipping idols. This is the translation, the tarjima, but I'm asking you what kind of murakkab, because murakkab means more than one word. So we only have two choices, so you've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So, just go for it. But you have to give me a reason as well, that's the only catch. Why?
Because of
First of all, what is a murakkab ism? I don't know that such a thing exists. I said it's a murakkab. So what type? There's no such thing as ism, murakkab. That's like, doesn't exist. So what is the terminology? We have to get the terminology right. And we've been saying it from day one, so you should know it, inshallah. It gets the synapses going.
Oh, now I get that.
Okay. Okay, Qaisar, tell him.
Two types, Mufid and Gyan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So mufid meaning that's a jumla, it's a sentence. What does mufid mean? Is that it's beneficial, meaning it is where a science is appropriate. Yeah. If I say the tree, what about the tree? That is not appropriate. The tree is beautiful becomes a sentence. The large tree, again, it doesn't tell me the large tree is what? Yeah. So this is the same thing. So this is where science. So what is it? Is it a jumla or a غير مفيد? A phrase. It's a jumla. Why? And what is it?
Because it's a full sentence.
Okay. What type of sentence? So now you know it's a. All right. So why? You got the terminology correct in terms of jumla ismiya. What's the other option? Jumla ismiya or jumla?
Jumla failure.
So you saying jumla ismiya and tell me why?
Because of the yasjuduna.
So what does yasjuduna mean? What's the translation? You just said it.
Sajda.
Yeah. So what's it in English?
Worship.
Okay. So what is so what did I say was the translation of that whole thing? I said, what did I say?
Worship idols.
What did I say? Anybody?
Prostrate to the idols.
No, I said they are worshipping idols.
Are they worshipping
Idols. Yes. Nas al-nas low.
Yeah. Don't help him. Let him work out because it will help him next time. Inshallah, he'll learn.
Idols.
Let him figure it out.
So where is the they?
Okay. All right. So
Yes.
yasjuduna is a verb.
Yeah, yasjuduna is a verb.
Okay. All right. And we haven't gone into verbs so much, but you should be able to recognize them by now. That it's kind of looking like a verb. Okay. All right. And remember what we said about verbs is that they are conjugates. What do I mean by conjugates? They're always combined with their personal pronoun. And remember what we said last time? We did fa'ala, he did. So the he is in fa'ala. Then we said fa'alu, they did. Still one word, all right? Yeah. Fa'alta, you did. The ta meaning you. Fa'alti, she did. You did. Fa'altu, I did. Fa'alna, we did. Yeah. And this is the same principle here. So it is one word. So the they will not be outside of it in general. Okay? It will be inside of the verb. Okay? So this is a verb. So if this is a verb, then what's the ruling? The grammatical ruling?
If there's a verb, then there's always.
No, how does it determine how do we know which jumla is going to be? Either fi'liya or ismiya? What is making us make that decision? Is to choose.
If it starts with a verb.
Yes. So if it starts with a verb, it's going to be a jumla fi'liya. And if it starts with a
Ism.
then it will be a
Jumla ismiya.
jumla ismiya. Very good. Okay. So there you go. Okay. All right. So there you go. So khair. Okay. So this is actually a verb. Okay. And the wa is the they. All right. Yasjuduna is from the wa. Yasjuduna. Okay. Yeah. So remember we did fa'ala, fa'alu. So you go yaf'alu, yaf'aluna. Okay. This is coming on this one. So yaf'aluna, yasjuduna. All right.
So if we look at those two words in the context of the whole sentence,
Yes.
Now, yasjuduna is about an-nas. So can we just separate an-nas, and how can that be a murakkab mufid when we have an-nas with it? How can we exclude an-nas and use they instead?
Okay, very good. Remember what we said is that for a jumla, okay, it depends on what's coming first, yeah? So, an-nas, okay, is before the verb, all right? So it cannot be connected to it. So in fact, if we want, I've just taken this in isolation, but now we have to go back because I have to answer this question, which we did last time, yeah? So remember, if you want to understand where the an-nas is coming from, you have to go to the very beginning. This is a kana statement, a fil naqis, right? So therefore, fil naqis is broken down into what? A kana statement, a fil naqis.
Fil naqis and then ism of kana.
And then?
Khabar of kana.
Okay, so what bit is the ism of kana?
Ibrahim.
Correct. So that'll be your ism of kana. Okay, and then where's your khabar of kana?
It can be the whole thing. The
Yes, so the whole thing becomes the khabar of kana, right? Now, these two are in their individual words. Now we have to go here, right? And so in here, this khabar of kana is actually a full jumla, isn't it? It's a jumla fi'liya. But the jumla fi'liya for this khabar of kana is not yasjuduna, it's yara. Okay, so what happens here is that the yara becomes your fil. Okay, all right. Now the thing is, right, that can an-nas be the fa'il? Yes or no, Amr?
No.
No, and why?
Because it's after the.
Nope, that's not the right explanation.
Sorry, repeat your question.
Okay, can an-nas be the subject?
No.
No, correct, but why?
Because the subject is in ya.
Is in
Yara.
why?
An-nas because it's
Because it's-
fatah. It should have.
That's the reason.
Oh.
Because if it was an-nasu, that would be the fa'il. The huwa comes out of yara. The rule is for a jumla fi'liya, right? Okay, the fi'l must always have a fa'il, either within it or after it, but never both. But never both. So if it's not after it, then it's in it. If it's after it, you don't need to take the huwa, because then it'd be redundancy. You'd be like he, they, the people. You know, you don't have to do that. You've got the an-nasu. But the fact that is in fatha, which is in the state of Qaisar?
Nasab.
Nasab. Right? And it's in a state of nasab because it is the... Why is it in a state of nasab? Because it's the object. Or, what we're going to now, remember what we said last time, that we're going to think Arabic now. So it's maf'ul bihi. Right? And if it's maf'ul bihi, what then happens, basically, to help answer your question, is that this whole thing becomes the maf'ul bihi. Right? An-nasu yasjuduna lil asnam. Right? Then within the maf'ul bihi, okay, is you've got another relationship going on. Okay? In here, you've got an-nas, and you have yasjuduna lil asnam. Alright? So, what you've got here is a different phrase relationship. It's not a sentence. We haven't covered it yet. Alright? So, what I want you to do is just hold that thought, because we're going to cover it, but I don't want to overcomplicate it, yeah? This is another type of phrase. An-nas yasjuduna lil asnam. Okay? It's describing the people. Alright? It's describing the people. Okay? If you really want to know what it is, it's actually it's a mawsul sifa relationship. Because this is describing what the people are doing, which is what they're prostrating to the idols. So you've just, it's a bit ahead of time, but because you prompted it, I've had to answer it. Is that we've already understood mawsul sifa as noun and adjective. Tall man, beautiful tree, green tree. Now what you can now see is that a sifa can actually be a sentence. So yasjuduna lil asnam is the sifa of this mawsuf an-nas. Okay? This is a mawsuf sifa relationship going on here. At the moment we've only covered waladun rashidun. Simple, one word, noun, ism, and the mawsuf and sifa. Now what you've seen is that a whole sentence can be, it cannot be, it cannot be, and this cannot be an-nas.
How come it's a masul sifat? Because there is not double, and also there is not there's no law or anything like that.
Yes, okay. Remember what we said is that when it's single words, it's fine. But when you go to murakkab, or specifically jumlas, is that the sentence has to worry about itself. All right? So here, the yasjuduna will dictate the vowels, not this, because it's a sentence. The sentence has to worry about itself. This yasjudun al-asnam is in the state of nasab, because it has to be, because an-nas is. The whole sentence is, right?
It could be mudaf alayh.
How?
Because it's nasu and
It's not an-nasu, an-nasa. Remember what?
yeah,
Remember we said with mudaf ilayh. Mudaf cannot have an al.
yeah,
Cannot have an al.
yeah.
Impossible, mustahil. Cannot have a definite article. That's the whole thing, is that it has a single vowel and without the definite article. So it cannot be. It's a good idea thinking it, but it cannot, because it's an al. So you know there already that this is an ism, and this can only be a mawsuf and sifa relationship going on here. And in fact, when you look at the meaning, it is. Prostrating to the idols is describing what the people do. They prostrate to the idols. It's a broad sense of a description, not like tall tree, but it's describing the people. What do the people do? They do this. Okay, so it's a bit you preempted me a bit on that one, but anyway, but it's not way off the track. But this will come back again. So it is actually something that we will come again and again. All right. So coming back. Yasjuduna lil asnam. Okay, let's go back to, because now we know that this sifa is a jumla fi'liya. Okay, and so break this down for me, please. The jumla fi'liya.
So it should be yasjudu.
Yes,
Fail,
correct. Yasjudu is the fi'l.
and then it should be, so file should be.
So you look after it. Okay, is there a fa'il pot there or not? The wa is there.
Wa is there.
Yeah. So there cannot be a fa'il after it because the wa is there. That is on top. So that becomes the fa'il. And then what's the rest? So you've done that. You've done that. What about lil asnam?
Islam is just what you call it, khabar?
Nope.
No,
What is cover?
no, it's
What is li? What is li?
because it become an ism then.
Now what is li?
Li just call it.
I remember it from last week. What is li? Okay, lil asnam. Is it one word or 2 words or 3 or 4? How many words are in lil asnam?
I think it's a 2 word.
Okay, what are the 2?
Li and asna.
Yeah, so what is li? You're correct.
Li is so li is also ism.
Why?
I don't know why.
Abdul Rahim, tell him.
I think it's proposition.
And what is it in Arabic?
Here you go.
You're right. What is it in Arabic?
Li is like it's a possession.
No. Better call. Don't you you escaped now. Possession. What is a possession? Well, mudaf ilayh is always between what?
Now if this is
Don't use English. We're doing Arabic. You know the Arabic terminology. So I don't want possession. What does that mean? You mean they're going to possess my house or what? What are you talking about here? What you're saying. This is a mudaf ilay relationship. Mudaf ilay can never be with a preposition. It is between two isms. A mudaf ilay is always between two isms, many nouns. All right? You can't get it with a pronoun. All right? So it's between two nouns. So this is a jar. Because remember we said a jar majur relationship. Muta'alliq is the same thing. So jar majur is just describing the two parts, which in together is called a muta'alliq. Yeah? Muta'alliq basically means that which is attached to. All right? Okay? So this is a jar majur relationship here. So you have, in this sentence, you have a fi'l, you have a fa'il, and you have a jar majur. No. What was that, Amr, you said? No. No.
If you have a file,
Yeah. The rule. What is the rule for a verbal sentence that minimum you must have? Two. Yeah. So you don't necessarily have to have a maf'ul bihi, right?
but that is jar majrur, but jar majrur is in
as the brother said, Abdurrahim, it's muta'alliq. It's not maf'ul bihi, because a maf'ul bihi is when it's a direct from. So here, yaran nasa would be the maf'ul bihi. All right. If that was just it, yaran nas, you'd be right. This would be the maf'ul bihi because it's directly affected by the verb. There's no in between. Here you have a preposition. So if the preposition wasn't there, then you're right. It'll be a maf'ul bihi, but it's actually a muta'alliq because of the li. Okay, and that's important. The terminology is important because it helps us differentiate. So, but my question, which is what I want to get to, and I'm hoping there's a sharp pencil around here that can answer this for me, is li means to belong to. Lakum dinukum waliyadim. To you belongs your religion, to me belongs my religion. Belongs to. Or alhamdulillah. All praises belongs to Allah. So he's prostrating, belonging to the asnam? That doesn't make sense. So what's going on here? What, has the author picked the wrong preposition here? What's gone on here? Any sharp pencils here? Can explain why there's a li in there.
Wasn't it because the khabar cannot be a sentence?
Nope. Khabar can always be a sentence.
This has been explained, I think, a couple of times.
A maf'ul bihi cannot be a sentence. And remember, that's when we'll come up to this anna. Yeah? But yeah, so the khabar can always be a sentence.
But it has to be a phrase though. Doesn't. No.
Look, I'll give you more try to do it, because whoever gets it right, I will not ask him a single question today. After this point, more incentive. Come on. And actually, we explained this last time. That's why. So it's nothing new, but it's really, really important, because the reason is this is where you're going to get unstuck when it comes to translating. It means belong to. Li is a preposition that means belong to.
Oh, I remember that.
Okay,
There's
so
certain verbs that come with. Is that
correct? Go for it. Keep saying.
There's certain verbs have their specific prepositions.
Specific prepositions. That's right. So you don't translate the preposition specifically. So if literally, so you don't say they prostrate belongs to the asna, because yasjuduna li in itself has a meaning of prostrating. So it's what you can call a transitive verb, meaning it needs an object, and the way it transits, it needs a preposition like li to do that. Why li? That's part of the Arabic language that li is chosen. It's part of vocabulary. It's why should prostration be sajada? It's because that's how they created the Arabic language. So it's part of the vocabulary that yasjuduna li means prostrating to, or prostration, yeah, or prostrating towards. Okay?
Duna is the only like nizar. So it's one of the verb with the with Li will come after that every time.
In this context, yes. There may be context. So what happens is that when you go into a dictionary and you look up for yasjuduna, so you look under sajada, what it will do in the list, it will tell you all the various meanings of sajada. And it will have meanings that will maybe with a preposition or not. Some verbs don't need prepositions, some verbs do. Some verbs can have prepositions and no prepositions, but when they have a preposition, it has a different kind of meaning when it doesn't have a preposition. And you'll see in the dictionary, okay, as to what the context of yasjuduna li is. Does it come without? It may come without, I don't know, we'd have to look. But it'll have a different context to the meaning. Okay, so that's why that li is. But on its own, it means belong to. Lakum deenakum waliya deen. Okay, and that's why al-asnami is in the state of jar, because it's following a jar. Okay, a preposition. Okay, and then we have your وَيَا النَّاسِ يَعْبَدُونَ الْأَسْنَامَ. So here you can see the opposite. Amr is that here ya'baduna is directly affecting the al-asnam. So that's why it's maful bihi and it will be in the state of nasab rather than here you say lil asnam. Okay? And so what you see classic here, Ali Bhai, is that here you have yasjuduna needed a li. Ya'baduna doesn't need a li. It directly needs it. So you can say worshipping to the idols. But it doesn't need a li to make the two, or ilah, two.
The thing that confused was that, as we discussed, though it can be in a state of nasab, but still can have kasra on it because of li before that, right?
It's not.
I understand it is not.
It's not in a state. Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah. This is a muta'alliq. And a muta'alliq, yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's why
Yeah.
the confusion was. That
Yeah.
Because sometimes they don't have to follow the tashkil because it depends on the word before.
Yes, it does. This will never be in a state of nasab because of the li. It has to be jar majrur, so it has to be always be in a state of jar. Okay, albeit that in its meaning it's the object of the prostrating, but because of the li, it's a muta'alliq. That's why we want to use the Arabic terminology. We use muta'alliq as opposed to maf'ul bihi, because maf'ul bihi is always in a state of nasab, whereas muta'alliq is always in a state of jar. Okay, all right. But in meaning, they're both objects, right?
I'm just saying in general,
Yeah.
not this particular. A word can be in a state of nasab carrying a kasra, can't it?
Only if it's change restricted. So Ibrahim would be one because it's a foreign name, it's change restricted. But it will still be in the state of, but it would not be in jar. So lil asnama, so it would be in a state of jar, but be having a fatha. Not the other way around, because it can never be. All right. So here we just talked about here. So the people would worship the idols or worship to the idols. Now here was the bit that we finished off on last week. وَكَانَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ يَعْرِفُ أَنَّ الْأَصْنَامَ حِجَارَةٌ. Okay, so if we just remind ourselves, so what kind of sentence are we dealing with here? Anyone? Kana. So it must have three components, which are?
Ism and a khabar.
So fil nakis, ism and a khabar. The ism of kana is always in a state of?
Jar.
Rafa. Jar will be in kasra, rafa most time would. So which one would be? It probably be Ibrahim, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be your ism of kana. Remember what we do? We don't just stop there, we see what's the next word above, because there may be a phrase relationship. When the phrase relationships end, that's where you cut it down. So noun plus verb, no such thing as a phrase, so we cut it there. Verb plus noun, yes, not noun plus verb. There's no phrase relationship between a noun first and then a verb. So that becomes an easy peasy. Yeah? And then ya'rifu, all the way across, will be your khabar of kana, which will be in the state of nasab, right? But you won't necessarily expect the words to be with a fatha because no, because they have to worry about what's within the sentence themselves. They have to worry about internally. But the whole jumla is in the state of nasab. But it doesn't mean that each of these words have to reflect in nasab because they have to worry about what's internal, the internal rules. Yes. Okay. Here, then we have ya'rifu. So it's a verbal sentence, a jumla fi'liya. Okay, so that must mean there's a fi'l and there must also be a fa'il. So where's the fa'il? We don't see a fa'il, we see an anna. Okay, so an anna cannot be a fa'il, so there must be a huwa. Yeah, so that becomes the fa'il, this becomes the fi'l. So ya'rifu, so just give the translation. So Ibrahim would know that the idols, al-asnam hijaratun, are stone. Right? That's the meaning. So ya'rifu is the fi'l, huwa is the fa'il, and then anna al-asnama hijaratun is the what? Maf'ul bihi, correct. Now the problem we said, remember, is that anna has two functions. Can anyone remember what those two functions were? Because you could have knew the idols are stone. You don't have to have anna, right? But if I told you that if we took that out and just, it wouldn't work. Why would it not work grammatically? What's the rule?
That it cannot be, maf'ul bihi cannot be a sentence.
Correct. So a khabar can be a sentence. Yeah, okay. And ism of kana can be, a khabar of kana can be a sentence, but a maf'ul bihi can never be a sentence. It can only be a phrase or a single word. That's the rule, okay? So anna is what does, it waters it down to a phrase. Guess it? Because it makes it into a fact that the stones are stone. Is an incomplete sentence. The idols are stone is a complete sentence, right? The idols are stone. Yeah, that makes a full mufid. That the idols are stone is incomplete because you have to say something before it. you know, yeah. So that's what the anna does. So it has the meaning of that, but it also makes it into a watered down phrase relationship. Okay, and here, then what we just call is the al-asnam becomes the ism of anna, and the hijaratun becomes the khabar of anna. All right, the ism of anna is in nasab. The khabar of anna is in rafa, which is expressed with a dhamma. All right, so it swaps it around. Whereas in kana, the khabar of kana is in nasab, right? But the khabar of anna is in rafa, so it's just swapped around. Okay, so this is the point that we got up to understand why there's an anna for al-asnam hijaratun. Okay, the other thing that I'd just like you to point out is that al-asnam is plural for sanam, idol. Yeah, and al-asnam is idols. Hijaratun is what? Is it singular? Singular. Yeah? It's not hujara. Yeah? It's hijara. Okay? And also, it's got a ta marbuta, which makes it feminine. Okay? And asnam is actually masculine. So why? What's going on there? Why is this in feminine? Why is this in masculine? Why is it that this is plural and why is it singular? Because non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine.
Exception.
Yes. Non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine. That's why it's hijaratun. Okay. Non-human plurals. And you'll see plenty of these examples coming as to, and when I spot it again, I will show you. Okay, So let's just zoom through this and then get onto some new bits, inshallah. Okay, so we've got so we did this top line. So then وَكَانَ يَعْرِفُ أَنَّ الْأَصْنَامَ لَا تَتَكَلَّمُ وَلَا تَسْمَعُ. So here we have وَكَانَ يَعْرِفُ, and he knew أَنَّ الْأَصْنَامَ, that the idols لَا تَتَكَلَّمُ, do not speak, وَلَا, and do not تَسْمَعُ, do not hear. Here again you can see that تَسْمَعُ and تَتَكَلَّمُ are singular and feminine, like taf'alu. And it's talking about asnam, which is masculine and plural, because non-human plurals are treated as singular feminine. So there you go again. Right? It's not yatakallamun or yasma'un, yeah? Which would be masculine plural. It is tasma'u and tatakallamu. These are feminine. Just accept it. We'll go through the conjugates again, but these are feminine singular verbs describing a masculine plural, but because al-asnam is a non-human plural, that's why it's in singular feminine in terms of what's described about it. Okay? And here again you've got the anna, because the idols do not speak and do not hear is a complete jumla, is a complete sentence. So therefore you have the anna in this situation. Okay? And again, if we go down, وَكَانَ يَعْرِفُ أَنَّ الْأَصْنَامَ لَا تَدُرُ وَلَا تَنْفَعُ. Okay, which means that, and he knew that the idol al-asnam la taduru, do not harm, wa la tanfa'u, and do not benefit. All right. Again, the anna, because al-asnam, the idols do not harm and do not benefit, is a complete sentence. So it has to have anna. Again, is taduru, tanfa'u, same as with these other ones, having the ta, because it's singular and it's feminine. All right. For the masculine plural non-human, al-asnama. Okay? Alright? And in each one, you've got the, why is this in nasab? Because of the anna. Remember we said the ism of anna is in nasab, and the khabar of anna would be this, but because it's murakkab, it's not going to reflect it, because the sentence has to worry about itself. Okay? And then here, again, وَكَانَ يَرَى أَنَّ ذُبَابٍ يجلس على الأصنام فلا تدفعوا. So, and he would see أن, that the dhubab, the flies, يجلس, sit, على الأصنام, on the idols, فلا تدفعوا, and they do not defend. And why we put they for a tadfa'u? Because it's singular feminine for a non-human plural. So it's not she do not defend, they do not defend. You translate it as they. Yeah? Yeah. Yadfa'una would be they for human beings who do not defend. But it's tadfa'u. So you still translate it as they. You don't say she, because it's regarding a non-human plural. So it's tadfa'u. Okay? And then here, this is the one that I wanted to just, and I think we confused each other a lot last few weeks ago, but let's try it one more time and to see whether you understand this one. وَكَانَ يُرَى الْفَأْرَ يَأْكُلُ طَعَامَ الْأَصْنَامِ فَلَا تَمْنَعُوا. So, and he would see that the flies eat ta'am, the food, al-asnam, the food of the idols. So, فَلَا, so they do not تَمْنَعُوا, so they do not stop them. Alright? Now here, what was interesting is that each of these had an anna. This one doesn't. Did anyone spot that? I'll give you the answer there. Because remember, we said Yaral Fa'ra, okay, cannot be a full sentence, right? Yeah? So you've got Yara Anna. So here we go, Yaral Fa'ra, straight away, that he would see the flies. And if the flies eating the food of the idols and they do not stop them, is a full sentence. So where's the Anna? Should it not be Yara Anna al-Fa'ra, like Yara Anna Dhubab? Right? So this is where you might think, oh, there's a mistake here. But this is where we get into the subtleties, because what you'll actually find is that all of this is actually describing this, al-fa'ra. And
what's the meaning of fara?
it's flies.
Flies.
And so the flies, yeah, okay. So the idea here is that the reason is that if you look at either the previous sentences, and this is where I wanted you to get, because this is such a profound statement, it's going to help you a lot, right? Why this has and then this one doesn't? Because there's a subtlety, what the author is being accurate. And this is where, when you hear the Arabs say about the balagha of the Quran, say, look how Allah is so accurate on this, all right? This is a small taster of where you think, wow, of accuracy. Why? I explain. If you look at the meaning, that he would know that the idols do not harm, and that's a fact. Idols do not harm, nor do they benefit. That's just like infinite time. There's never a time where an idol can benefit you. So it's a fact. Yeah? And then the dhubab, okay? Fara is mice. Dhubab is fly. And you see the flies sitting, right, on the idols, yeah? And that's what flies do, yeah? And you don't see the idols, deflecting them, yeah? That's a fact, right? Here, where you see the mice, yeah? There's no anna. Why? Because it says yaqlu ta'am al-asnam, right? The reason is that if you look at the meaning, it says eating the food of the idols, so they do not stop them, yeah? The idea here is that this is what we call a hal. It's a state of condition, meaning that it's not a fact. The fact meaning that idols don't always have food with them, right? And it's not a fact that mouse only eat food off idols. Yeah? Okay. But flies certainly do sit. And idols certainly don't harm and benefit. So what the author is subtly telling you that this isn't a fact, this is what they were just doing at the time. It so happened that the mouse were running around, and it so happened that there was food of the idols. So he's put it as not a fact, but as a state of what was being seen about the mice. That when we're looking at the mice, they weren't running around the floor, they were actually eating the food of the idols. Because it's not a fact that mice eat food of idols. That's not a thing that happens all the time. You see mice, oh, they're eating food of idols. That's not a fact. They do all sorts of things. They eat carpet, they burrow, they eat food on the plate, on wherever, yeah? So that's what he's describing is the state.
Kind of properties.
It's a state, a condition. It's a condition.
Isn't that true with Zubab as well? They don't just sit on idols, they do other things.
Yeah, you could say that. I thought of that as well, but he's decided to make that a fact in this sentence. Yeah, but you can go in that. And you could say that. Well, is it like with Zubab? Well, they certainly sit, but they don't always sit on idols. Yeah, but he's made that as a fact there. But the point is to differentiate it. Is that you've got one that's a fact and one that's describing a condition. When you're describing a condition, you don't need the anna. This is the point that's saying. So when Zayd comes to me, he came to me riding. He is not the rider, which is a fact. Zayd is the rider, would be a fact. Zayd came to me riding. So it happened that when he was coming to me, he didn't come walking, he didn't come running, he actually came to me riding on the horse. It's the same what he's trying to do here with the fa'ra, the mice. He's trying to say that you don't need the anna because I'm describing the state of the mice. And it so happens that they were doing this. Whereas, at least with the first one, it's definitely clear that idols is a factual thing. You could not make that a state of a condition that the idols so happen do not harm and do not benefit. That cannot be, that's inaccurate. And that's why that has to be anna. And this one is describing a state. Okay? I think we've got that.
This one is also fake because the idol do not harm and do not benefit. What did you say?
No, that is a fact.
That is a fact, yes.
That is always,
But it's the dhubab,
that's
the
always
flies.
the case.
Yeah.
They will never-
But the flies,
But which one?
yeah. This one, the flies, he's talking about
the
flies. Why is that anna when that could also be, it could be. And I think you could have it anna or you could have it without. You could say yajlisu ala, because flies don't necessarily all the time sit on idols. Yeah, so yeah, point taken. Then وَكَانَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ يَأْكُلُ فِي نَفْسِهِ. So
maybe sit on the idol and they do not defend themselves.
وَكَانَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ No. وَكَانَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ يَأْكُلُ فِي نَفْسِهِ. So again, Ibrahim would say fi nafsihi. So if we took the fi, again, literally, it means in. Yeah? So here you would say, he would say in himself. Yeah? But what he's basically saying that Ibrahim would say to himself. That's more more accurate translation. But why two? Because two would be ilah, remember? Ilah. Wasala ila Mecca. He arrived to Mecca, yeah? Two. Alright? But remember what we said, again the same principle. Yaqulu fi is the actual word, which means say to. Yeah? And it might have an idea about saying to himself, we have to look up in the dictionary. So you don't say in, literally, it's yaqulu fi. So where you look at qala and say what does all the prepositions that follow qala and what does it mean? So it means say to himself. Himself, nafs, and he. Okay? So himself. Okay? This is a mudaf ilay relationship. Because it's an ism to an ism. Right? لماذا يسجد الناس للأصنام. لماذا means why. Why? Why the people prostrating to the idols? Okay? Why are the people prostrating to the idols? So that's what he was saying to himself. So the limada is the why. This becomes a verbal sentence, yasjudu. Yeah? And in this situation, if we look, yeah, remember we had it before, and we had the yasjudu up here. Here. An-nasa yasjuduna, yeah? Okay? Here, the an-nasa is coming after. Right? That was an-nas. This is an-nasu. So remember the rule is that the fi'l must have a fa'il either within it or next or after it. So an-nasu would fit that after. Yeah? So that's why it's not that why are the people prostrate, so it's why are the people, the subject, an-nas, prostrating to, not belong to, because remember we said that yasjudu li means to, the asnam, muta'alliq. So here, لماذا يسجد فعل, فاعل, and muta'alliq, للأسنام. Okay? And then coming up to the finishing of this chapter. So وَكَانَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ يَسْأَلُ نَفْسَهُ. So Ibrahim would, yas'alu, would ask nafsahu, himself. Now here, when we had وَكَانَ Ibrahim would say, يَقُولُ لِنَفْسِهِ. Here you got yas'alu nafsahu. Ali, do you get that? Yes, I will repeat it. In the previous, you had yakulu li nafsihi. Right? So here, if you have a look, yakulu fi nafsihi. Right? You got me there? You understood that bit? It's yakulu fi nafsihi. Does that mean yes? Okay. All right. 2 coffees if it's a no, yeah? And 1 coffee is And then here, yas'alu nafsahu. Right? There's no fi. All right? Because this verb doesn't require it. Because yas'alu is about asking. Yeah? And yakulu is about saying. These are 2 different verbs. So here it's not yas'alu fi nafsihi, but you could translate. So Ibrahim would ask himself. So you can see that it doesn't have to mean in himself. It can just be, this yas'al doesn't require the fi in it. Or li or whatever. Yeah? Okay? Alright? So would ask himself, لِمَاذَا يَسْأَلُ النَّاسُ الْأَصْنَامَ. So why? لِمَاذَا يَسْأَلُ. So this is the fi'l. النَّاسُ must be the fa'il. Yeah? Al-asnam. So, Zahid, if you can translate that for me, please. So, لِمَاذَا يَسْأَلُ النَّاسُ الْأَصْنَامَ. So, translate and break it down for me.
limaza. And then
What is limada? What does it mean again?
wood.
No. It means why.
Why?
Yeah? And what's yas'alu? Same as here, we just did it. Yas'alu means ask. Okay?
Yeah.
And so, what is it? What type of word is it? You've got 1 in 3 chance. It's going to be either a ism or
verb.
or a verb is fi'l,
Yeah.
or what's the third one? No, harf. Because adjective is an ism.
Yeah.
So what do you think yas'alu might be? It's ask, so the meaning will help you a little bit.
Yeah. Verb.
It's a verb. And remember, there's 3 types of verbs. There's the past tense and the present tense. And then there's the command, which we haven't covered yet. So you've got a 50-50. It's either going to be past or present. Made it easier for you.
Yasalu is present.
Because?
All I remember is from Yasalu and Tafalu.
That's okay. I'll let you have it there. The key thing is that the ya, taf, af, and naf.
Yeah.
So that comes before it. And there's a dhamma. Because remember, fa'ala, fa'alu, fa'alta, fa'alti, they don't have dhammas on it, yeah? So these 2 things kind of give it away that you're probably, most likely, dealing with a verb. And then if you know the meaning, that gives it away completely. So this is present tense verb. Because sa'ala would be he asked. Yas'alu would be he's asking. Right? Or he asks. Okay? So why? Asks. And then an-nas would be...
The ism.
Yeah, so it's an ism. So where is it in the grammatical context of a jumla fi'liya? What position does it have in a jumla fi'liya? What's the rule for a jumla fi'liya to be a jumla fi'liya?
Maf'ul
Start from the beginning. So it's got to have a fi'l, a verb, followed by fa'il. So is there a fa'il? And where is it? And then you've got al-asnam, which is idols. So you've got people and you've got idols. These are both isms, and you've got the verb yas'alu. So you've got 2 isms here that you're going to have to work out what their positions are in this jumla fi'liya. And what will help you is the state of what they are in will determine whether they are what. Whether they're a subject or an object, whether they're a fa'il, whether they're a maf'ul bihi, will be determined by their state and how that's reflected. So, is it that the idols were asking, or were the people asking?
People asking.
So, just on the meaning alone, presumably, you would think then the fa'il would be the
People asking.
So, what's the fa'il?
People.
Yeah. So the fa'il, what does fa'il mean? Literally, what does fa'il mean?
Person who is doing.
Correct. The doer.
Yeah.
Yes. So the person who's doing is doing what? Doing the action, which is the asking.
Yeah.
So that would be an-nas. So that's the fa'il. So the asnama would be the maf'ul bihi, which is
What's the difference between anyway maf'ul bihi?
it's maf'ul bihi.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Maf'ul means like literally
On which
the one.
something is doing.
Yeah, on which it's been subjected to,
Yeah.
that action. But it's maf'ul bihi, meaning that's subjected to what? It's just the terminology, it means the object, in simple
So
terms.
instead of file, why not call it a file?
So if you wanted to describe it, so you would say an-nas is in the state of rafa because it's in the position of fa'il. So you give three answers. So anas, I would say, is an ism in the state of rafa because it is the fa'il. So it gives you the full explanation of that word. Yeah? Because a rafa could also be a mubtada, it could be a khabar, it could be a na'ib fa'il, it could be a whole lot of things. Because the state of rafa, remember we said there were 8 positions. There were 2 for jar and there were 12 for nasab. Yeah? So 1 in 8. Yeah? So this was because it's a fa'il and this is a maf'ul bihi. Okay? Alright? We'll just do a couple of lines of the new chapter and then we'll finish it. So here you have the title Nasihatu Ibrahim. Alright? So what I'm going to do here is that I'm not going to ask you any questions because I know you're all sort of lagging, it's getting a bit late, but I'm going to go through this quickly and then next week I'm going to ask you all about it. Okay, so even though there's silence, even though you can enjoy your cup of tea, but next week, so there's an advantage as well as a possible disadvantage. Okay, so I'll go for it just a little bit, and you can just try and absorb as much as you can over your cups of tea, inshallah. And so Nasihatu Ibrahima. Okay, so Nasiha is an ism, Ibrahim is an ism. 2 isms come together from the phrase relationships. We only know 3. A jar majur, so there's no jar, that goes out. Then we know it could be either a mawsuf and sifa, or it could be a mudaf ilay. Okay, we can exclude a mawsuf sifa because the sifa has to be an adjective and Ibrahim is a name. It can't be an adjective. So on the meaning alone, you can rule that out. You can also rule it out in terms of that this is feminine, Nasi, because it's got ta marbuta, and Ibrahim is a male. And remember, mawsuf sifa has to match. Also, this is in a state of rafa, okay? And this is not in a state of rafa. It's in a state of jar because it's change restricted, yeah? So they're not matching in terms of their grammatical states, okay? For those reasons, mawsuf sifa can go out. So you're left with mudaf ilay, just excluding it. So it is the advice of Ibrahim. So Ibrahim's advice. Okay? That's a mudaf ilay relation. Ibrahim's advice or the advice of Ibrahim. And again, we get our kana. And we all love our kana because we've done so many times. So already we know we're doing with a kana statement. It's going to be 3 components. Fil naqis. Ism of kana will be Ibrahim. And yakulu li walidihi is the khabar of kana. So Ibrahim would say yakulu. And li walidihi, okay, is an interesting word because it comprises of not just 1, not just 2, but 3 words. The li, the jar, the walid, meaning the father, and he, the pronoun, the possessive pronoun, which means his. So it would say to li, his father. And it's to, not because li means to on its own, because we know li means belong to, but in the context of yakulu, that's what it's meaning in saying to. And we had yakulu fi nafsihi, would say inside of himself. So you see a difference between fi and li in that. So they'll have a different connotations. This one's saying yakulu li. And so if you look at the dictionary, there'll be a different meaning for yakulu fi and then yakulu li. So maybe fi is more for inside, or what one says inside one's head, maybe. And li is when you actually say to somebody. Maybe that's the difference in connotation. Okay? So yakulu li waladihi was ya abi. And this is a vocative, ya o abi, means my father. So ab is father, abi is my father. Oh my father. Limada, which means what we said, why? Ta'budu hadhihi al-asnam. Why do you worship these idols? Right? Interesting here, ta'budu is you worship. So remember we did, ya'budu, ya'buduna, ta'budu. So it's why are you, the father, worshipping, present tense because you've got the ta and the dhamma. So it's present tense. Now this is the hadhihi al-asnama. This is the other one that musharun ilay, musharun ilay, yeah? Which is a demonstrative pronoun. So this is a phrase. هذه الأصنام is one single phrase. Why is it a phrase? Because it's got the al. When we did that, we did هذا كتاب. Yeah, remember we said this is a book. هذا كتاب. هذا الكتاب, this book. Okay? هذه is the feminine. هذا is the masculine. Both mean the same thing, but one for feminine, هذه, and هذا for male. Both are singular. Okay? Al-asnam is plural masculine, but remember, non-human plurals have singular feminine. That's why it's هذه and not هذا. Right? So why do you worship these? That's why you say these, not this. Because literally on its own it means this. But in the context of non-human plurals, you make it these. And هؤلاء is the plural of these. Yeah? We haven't gone on to that. That's the plural version of هذا and هذه. Right? Yeah, and then ya abi. Oh my father, لماذا? Why? تسجدوا. Why do you worship لهذه الأصنام? Why do you worship these idols? Remember, it's got this one had a li, this had ta'budu. So ta'budu, you mean you don't understand? sorry. I'm just trying to get the coding. One call for yes and two for no. So ta'budu didn't go li, but tasjudu li, because tasjudu, the verb requires a preposition li. And remember we did with tasjudu, it doesn't mean belongs to, it means to. So worship li has li asnam. Here you have a direct effect of the verb, which is why it's in nasb, asnama. Here it's li, so it's a muta'alliq, a jar majrur relationship. Right? The jar li and majrur is hadhil asnam. And that's why it's with a kasra, not a fatha. Okay?
So are you saying basically we can say hadhil asnama?
Yeah.
Tasjudu hadhil asnama?
Yes. So the hadha, all it needs to connect with that is it doesn't change the vowels. All you need is a hadha and a al, and it's connected to make it a phrase. Okay? So it has the thing that follows it, the ism has to be in definite article. So it has to have al.
Yeah.
Al for it to connect with the hadha and say al. If it didn't, if it was indefinite, then it would be these are idols, as opposed to these idols. Yeah? So if I want to say these idols, I say هذه أصنام. These are idols. هذه أصنام. If I want to say these idols, هذه الأصنام. I have the al in there. That's all it is. That's what differentiates between a phrase and a sentence. Yeah? And that's why you have these there. Okay? So then it says إن هذه الأصنام لا تتكلم ولا تسمع. Indeed. And this inna is another one that modifies the like kana statements and like an statements. Yeah? So this is a sister of inna and an, amma. So you have the ism of inna and the khabar of inna. The ism of inna is in the state of nasab, like anna. Yeah? And the khabar of anna is in the state of rafa. Yeah? So that's why you say asnama, inna, so don't get mixed up with it. So indeed, هذه الأصنام, indeed these idols, لا تتكلم ولا تسمع. So this is in a state of rafa, but remember it has to worry about itself because it's a jumla. They do not speak and they do not hear. وَإِنَّ هَذِهِ الْأَصْنَامَ, and indeed these idols, ism of inna, لَا تَضُرُّ وَلَا تَنْفُعُ. So we did this before. Do not harm and do not benefit. Okay? And then we have وَلِأَيِّ شَيْءٍ, and for which thing or reason, shay means thing, and وَلِأَيِّ means li is a jar, ayyi means which. Okay? So if you want to break this down, it's actually two words. There's a li and there's a ayyi. Okay? The li we know is jar. Ayyi is which. It's a pronoun. An interrogative pronoun, I mean a questioning pronoun. Who? Which? Yeah. Who's the person? Yeah? So remember it's an abbreviation of a noun. Who is he? Which thing? And remember, a place or thing or human, these are all nouns. So these are pronouns, interrogative pronouns. So this is a jar majrur relationship going on here. And then shay'in means thing. So for which thing, tada'u means you put for these laha, for these ta'am, for these idols, ta'am wa sharab. So food and drink. Okay. And wa inna hazil asnam. So indeed, these idols, ya abi, O father, la taqulu wa la tashrubu. They do not eat and they do not drink. وَكَانَ آزَرُ يَغْضَبُ وَلَا يَفْهَمُ. So here, وَكَانَ, again, so you feel nakis, آزَرُ, ism of kana, يَغْضَبُ وَلَا يَفْهَمُ is a khabar of kana, which means he became angry and he did not understand. يَفْهَمُ.
Yes. Why we have Dhamma on Azaru this time?
Because it's an ism of kana.
But wouldn't the same rule apply? It's non-Arabic, so we'll still...
Alright, remember what we said is that it's change restricted. So Azar and Ibrahim will be Dhamma for Rafa, like it would be so Zayd. Okay. We said that for Nasab, it would be in Fatha. Okay. And in Jar, it would not be in Kasra, it would be in Fatha. So it's Dhamma, Fatha, Fatha. Not Dhamma, Fatha, Kasra. So everything which is in Rafa would always be with the Dhamma. Remember the other thing, if it was Zayd, it wouldn't be Zaydu, it would be Zaydun. Right? So there's no tanween on change restricted. So it would be like Wakana Zaydun. But it's Wakana Azaru. Right? يَغْضَبُونَ وَلَا يَفْهَمُونَ. And then Wakana Ibrahim. So Ibrahim would, Yansahu, would advise, لِقَوْمِهِ, would advise his people. Qawm. Li, again, which would be a jar majrur. And qawmihi would be his people. Mudaf, mudaf ilay. وَكَانَ النَّاسِ, and the people would يَغْضَبُونَ وَلَا يَفْهَمُونَ. And this is the last sentence I want to just focus on, and then we're finished. Okay. What's interesting about here is that you have an ism of kana, right? وَكَانَ. So fil naqis. النَّاسُ would be the ism of kana, and then يَغْضَبُونَ وَلَا يَفْهَمُونَ would be the khabar of kana. The interesting thing here is that you have a wa. Right, which means they, right? Because it's talking about the people, right? But because An-Nas comes before, right? So you can't then say that this is the fa'il. It's not, cannot be, because it's coming before the verb. The fa'il must come after the verb, right? So you can't just say, oh, the An-Nas is mentioned, so therefore we'll just put yaghdabu. You have to yaghdabuna. So you have to have it within the verb because it's not coming after it, An-Nas. But it's referring to the An-Nas, who are, obviously it's plural, people, yeah? So it's yaghdabuna, not yaghdabu, as in azor yaghdabu. So yaghdabuna wala yafhamuna. As for azor yaghdabu wala yafhamu. You can see, there's no wa in that one because it's to do with azor. But you have to take out a huwa here, alright? Here you don't because you've got the wa, the pronouns there afterwards.
So in this case, if we take
Yeah.
An-Nas or out altogether, would that be in one?
No, if you took it out, good question. If you took it out, then what you have to do is you'd have to presume what you're talking about here.
That would refer to calm then, isn't it?
Yeah, because then you got wakana, and thing is that will probably you'd have to have an ism of kana somewhere. So the ism of kana would have to come out here.
Yeah.
Right? The only problem with that is that then you'd have to probably have kanu. Yeah?
Because it's plural?
Because the kana has to have a fa'il too. It has to have a fa'il. Right? And if the fa'il is plural, then it has to reflect it that way. It doesn't reflect the kanu there because it's got An-Nas to do that. But if there is no fa'il, then kana has to have it within itself. And if it's to do with plural, then it has to have a kanu. So it'll be وَكَانُوا يَغْضَبُونَ وَلَا يَفْهَمُونَ. So it'll be all with wa, if you took out the nas. And then you'd have to wonder, who are they talking about? Then you presume in the context it's talking about the people, they. This is just being more specific by telling who are they, the people of Ibrahim. Yeah? But it could work that way too.
Take you up 4
Yeah.
sentences.
Yeah.
وَلَا يَشَيْءٍ.
Yeah, وَلِأَيِّ شَيْءٍ. Yeah.
Why shay'in?
Okay. So shay'in means literally thing. But in the context of وَلِأَيِّ شَيْءٍ, it means for what reason. It's just a way, it's a metaphor, it's a way of describing it.
Why it's in kasra? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay. وَلِأَيِّ. Oh, I'm not quite sure actually. Let me think about that. Yeah. So I would say that probably, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Because the first is the jar majroor, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
But remember, that's a question, yeah? But I would say we don't have to worry about it yet. The reason being is that you're not there to 100% analyze the sentence yet. All right? Okay? All right? So there will be things, and that you have to put a tolerance level, because there will be that inquisitiveness to like, what's going on there? I want to really know it. I actually don't know why. I'll have to find out why.
Wouldn't that be jar majroor again?
See, if it was it could. Let's not go. It could be. I don't know. We'll have to work it out and find out. Okay, and I'll have to look at it again. But I would say, for the moment, let's just say for what thing. Tada'u is interesting because the wa has been omitted. All right, and that's when we're going to talk about verbs, weak verbs. All right, and that's something about sarf, the morphology of verbs. Yeah, that you'll actually, this is, if you want to know what the actual letters for these verbs are, if you want to look in the dictionary, you wouldn't look up ta, da, ayn. You need to know there's a wa in there, and that's a science in itself as to work out what are the root letters. Okay, in fa'ala, sajada, it's there, it doesn't disappear. When there's a wa or a ya or a alif hamza, then there's things that disappear and come back, and there's rules around that, and we're going to cover that in time to understand, so that when you see tada'u, you'll know, the wa is missing, and so I need to look, if I want to know the meaning, I know there's a wa there, and then I have to go into dictionary under wa, not ta. All right, so the wa kind of disappears.
Just ta is really for you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it should be tawda'u.
Okay.
Yeah, like taf'alu, taw, tawda'u. And the reason that they disappear is because of pronunciation. So there's a ruling, because it's hard to say tawda'u, tawda'u. Yeah. So they have these ways that actually in the rules that the word then just disappears completely to make the pronunciation easier. So it's tada'u, which means it's easier than tawda'u. But that's how you would literally do it if you're doing it from a yaf'alu basis. Yaf'alu tawda'u. Okay. But we'll go on to the science of words later. At the moment, we're just trying to get the words coming together. Okay. Yeah, so this li'ayyi is definitely, there's two isms here. Okay, so we've only got really two choices from what we know. Is going to be either a mawsuf sifa, okay, or a mudaf ilay. I suspect it's a mudaf ilay. Because the shayn is not describing, but that's, again, we're not expected to go to that nth degree yet, and we will get there once we go through all the course. And then we'll know every single rule. And the whole idea, remember what we said, is that we go through the qisas and that we build up the grammatical rules, and then we got the Hidayat al-Nahu book, which gives us every single grammatical rule that's there possible. And then once we've gone through that book, then we go to Quran, because we'll have every rule that we know of. Okay, and Hidayat al-Nahu is actually a book that's without even the vowels. Okay, and we'll go through that. So this is really gearing yourself up to gain the grammar, getting a sense of how to pronounce with the rulings. And Qisas al-Anbiya is 3 volumes. And we're just on I think we're just finishing, this is just the 3rd chapter of the 1st volume. Yeah, but it will get, as you know the rules like the canons, all that, then it will become faster and faster and faster. So we won't have to necessarily break down every single jumla, because we already kind of know what they are. Yeah? Okay. Any more questions, or we'll wrap up? Okay. All right. Subhanaka wa hamdaka ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wastaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.